Two identical swing sets creaked in perfect, empty unison, a motion that should have been impossible. The air grew thick with the metallic tang of ozone, like the moment before a storm that never breaks. Every house on the block was a mirror image, down to the same wilting petunias in the same ceramic pots. Then, from the house directly opposite, a single light flicked on in an upstairs window. And in that window, a silhouette appeared, watching. Its posture was a perfect copy of the one you saw in your own reflection just a moment before. A low, electrical hum vibrated through the floorboards, a frequency that made your teeth ache. This wasn't a neighborhood, it was a stage, and someone had just called for the actors to take their marks. For 6 years, I shared a fence, a street, an entire neighborhood with my husband's other wife, and I never knew. The air in our home began to smell faintly of her perfume, a scent I mistook for my own. This is the story of the house next door. My name is Sarah. This was my dream. Maple Creek Drive, Oak Ridge, Ohio. We moved here 7 years ago. Picture perfect, or so we thought. John, my college sweetheart, was always the reliable one. The air here now smells faintly of damp earth and something metallic, like old coins. A floorboard groans in another room, a sound I've learned never follows his familiar footsteps. He was a financial analyst, traveling occasionally for mundane work trips. Then came Chloe, our daughter, and life settled into a gentle rhythm. Our world was the garden, the scent of charcoal from the grill, the reliable minivan in the driveway. It was a perfect, ordinary life, the kind you never think to question until it fractures. Our days settled into a quiet, comfortable rhythm, built on simple trust. We considered ourselves lucky to have good neighbors. The Millers moved into the house next door, about a year after we did. Everything felt normal, secure. That was the illusion. Anna and Ben. Ben was quiet, a contractor, Anna said. He worked long, irregular hours. His schedule was erratic, unpredictable. He'd vanish for days, then return at odd hours. The air in their home carried the faint scent of ozone and damp earth when he returned. Anna would hear the soft click of a lock, then only the heavy silence that followed. Anna was lovely, sweet, but always with a quiet loneliness clinging to her. I often thought she seemed adrift, even in her own home. Our daughter Chloe and her boy Liam were the same age, a bright thread of connection in that quiet space. Yet that shared joy for the kids couldn't quite dispel the subtle, cool isolation that seemed to follow them. They became inseparable, dashing back and forth through the little wooden gate we'd installed between our yards. For the kids, we'd said, but it was always for them. That gate. The strangeness didn't announce itself with a bang, but with a series of subtle, persistent glitches. It felt like living inside a world coated in a thin, constant layer of static. The air carried a faint, metallic tang, like the scent of ozone after a distant storm that never arrived. And beneath the everyday sounds, a low, discordant hum began to press against the edges of hearing. Ben's schedule was the first unsettling irregularity. He'd vanish for days. Then I'd spot him mowing their lawn at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I mentioned it to John once. Sarah, Ben's home a lot during the day. Contracting that flexible? Maybe he's between jobs. Don't gossip, Sarah. John shut it down firmly. His tone clipped. Then came the coincidences. John purchased that specific, obscure brand from a downtown specialty store.
A week later, I spotted that same bottle in Anna's recycling bin. John began wearing the new cologne, a sharp, metallic scent that clung to the air. That same sharp fragrance hit me when Ben helped lift a heavy planter, his hands brushing against mine. But the mind performs astonishing gymnastics to shield itself from the truth.
I'd dismiss it as paranoia, rationalizing that it was just a popular brand, nothing more.
But the most chilling clue came from the children, wrapped in innocence.
One afternoon, Chloe returned home, her young face etched with confusion. In a small voice, she shared what her friend Liam had said. His dad sometimes called his mom Ellie. My breath seized in my throat. Ellie was the private name John reserved for our most intimate moments, a tender shortening of my middle name, Eleanor. The air in the room turned to ice, carrying a faint metallic scent like old copper. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, a violation of something sacred and private. That whispered name, Anna, now felt like a key, turning on a lock I never knew existed. It started as a private joke between us, but it landed in my gut like a stone. The ripples of unease spread out, but their final destination remained a terrifying void. Then, the trip was announced. John said he had a 3-day conference there, his voice carrying the sterile scent of a lot. He packed. He left. That evening, from my upstairs window, I saw Ben's truck was also gone. Anna's house was dark. A family trip, I assumed, but a sick feeling kept me awake, a deep unease that settled in my bones like damp cold. I logged into our shared cloud storage, the cursor blinking in the digital void as I searched for an old receipt. That's when I saw it, a photo, freshly uploaded from John's phone just an hour earlier. The image loaded slowly, pixel by pixel, revealing something that made my breath catch in my throat. A restaurant table, 2 wine glasses, and, in the reflection of the night, a man's hand, with John's distinct watch, resting on a woman's hand wearing Anna's unique emerald ring. The static became screaming. For 24 hours, I drifted through my own home like a phantom, my shallow breaths the only sound in the dead air. I watched Anna's house, the damp night air clinging to my skin. A metallic scent, like ozone after lightning, seemed to seep from its walls. Then, the next day, Ben's truck returned. John stumbled through the door, exhaustion etched on his face, clutching a Cleveland souvenir mug. I held the digital evidence in my phone, but mere images felt hollow, insufficient. I needed to witness it firsthand, to confront the undeniable, physical truth. That weekend, my opportunity finally arrived. John told me he was heading out for a round of golf. I watched him walk out and get into his car. 10 minutes later, from Chloe's bedroom window, I saw him again. But he wasn't driving away. He was just standing there. He moved through the dense trees at the far edge of our shared property line, a shadow slipping between trunks. He halted at the fence gate, a still silhouette against the weathered wood. He didn't open the gate. Instead, his fingers found a hidden seam in the fence beside it. With a soft click, a disguised panel I'd never noticed swung inward on silent hinges, revealing a darkness beyond. He slipped into Anna's yard and walked right into her back door like he owned the place. Which, I would soon learn, he did. A metallic scent of ozone filled the air as my heart hammered against my ribs. In that moment, a terrifying clarity washed over me, a primal understanding of what was about to unfold. I waited, feeding Chloe her lunch before putting on a movie for her. Then I walked out the back door, the damp grass whispering beneath my feet. I crossed the lawn, the air thick with the scent of ozone and wet earth, and I moved through that little gate meant for children. I didn't take the familiar path to Anna's back door. Instead, I slipped through the side gate that opened to the front driveway. The latch gave way without resistance, unlocked when it should have been secured. And there, parked in the driveway where it shouldn't have been, sat John's car. It wasn't in our driveway.
I found it tucked neatly into Anna's garage, concealed behind her SUV.
The air in the garage grew thick and stale, carrying the faint, metallic scent of old motor oil. My gaze locked onto the license plate. The letters resolved. B-N-M-I-L-L-R. Ben Miller. A hollow dread settled in my chest. This was my husband's car, with his other name inscribed upon it. I didn't knock, turn the handle. It was unlocked. A metallic scent of old iron and damp wood greeted the air. The grass felt unnaturally cold and slick against my palm. From the blackness within came a faint, wet, scratching sound. My breath seized in my throat. The door yielded without resistance, swinging inward on silent hinges into the waiting dark. The interior wasn't just similar to my own home. It was a distorted echo of my life. Every familiar shape held a subtle wrongness, a chilling familiarity twisted just out of truth. The air hung thick with the scent of dust, and something faintly metallic, like old coins. This was no mere copy. It was a reflection pulled from a place I'd never been. The family photos on the wall chronicled years of John, Anna, and Liam beach trips, Christmas mornings, a life documented. In some, John was clean-shaven. In others, he wore the exact beard that Ben had sported. The air in the room grew thick and stale, carrying the faint, metallic scent of old picture frames and dust. Each identical smile in the frames now felt like a rehearsed mask, hiding something stagnant and wrong just beneath the surface. A gallery of stolen faces, an entire wardrobe of fabricated lives, hung before me. The air in the room tasted stale, thick with the faint, chemical scent of adhesive and uncured silicone. Then it came, a low, familiar chuckle that seemed to seep through the walls. John's laugh, unmistakable and warm, drifted from the living room, a sound that now felt like a cold hand closing around my throat. I stood frozen in the doorway, my breath hitching at the sight. John, Ben, my husband, lay sprawled on the floor, plastic bricks scattered around him like forgotten relics. Liam sat motionless beside him, a small figure frozen mid-play, and Anna, Ellie. Her smile stretched from the sofa, a perfect, unmoving curve in the heavy air. A perfect, quiet Sunday afternoon. Their Sunday afternoon. Sarah, John? The room went absolutely silent. John's head snapped up, his breath hitching at the sudden absence of all sound. His face transformed from warmth to pure, unfiltered horror. John stammered, "Sarah, what? How?" Anna stood up, panic tightening her voice as she asked, "Ben, what is this?" He was looking at me, but she called him Ben. In that single, fractured moment, the second family wasn't an idea anymore. It was a living room. The wife didn't know my name, and my husband was split perfectly in two, caught in the blinding light of his own spectacular lot. The police termed it dual-life bigamy, while the lawyers labeled it complex asset fraud. He had purchased both houses, his deception leaving a lingering scent of fresh paint and cold, polished hardwood. Sarah's face, calm but haunted, speaks directly to the camera, the weight of it all settling in the still air. I juggled 2 mortgages, 2 families, 2 calendars of birthdays, all on a single salary. It was a meticulous, soul-crushing performance, a constant, exhausting act. Anna was as much a victim in this charade as I was. The quiet contractor husband, the lonely neighbor next door. They were both him. We sold the houses. I moved across the state. Anna moved too. We don't speak. The shared trauma is a knot too painful to pick at. John, or Ben, as he was charged, is free now. He's living somewhere else. Under a name I'll never know. The air in the room grew thick, heavy with the scent of damp plaster and stale dust. My breath hitched, caught in my throat as the weight of that silence settled in. But what truly haunts me isn't the elaborate deceptions. It's the crushing intimacy of it all. The borrowed cup of sugar that carried the faint scent of his cologne. The shared fence where I once heard his slow, deliberate breathing just on the other side. And our children's laughter. A sound that used to bring joy, now tainted as it drifted over a property line he secretly owned on both sides. He wasn't living a double life in another city. He was its architect, its director, living at the heart of his own terrible, quiet play. And for 6 years, I was just a character in it. Sarah. So I have to ask you, how intimately do you truly know the person whose heartbeat echoes through your shared wall? How deeply do you understand the individual whose breath mingles with yours in the dark? The unsettling reality might be sleeping beside you. It could be breathing the same stale air.